Hey everybody, this is Country Echoes, and in today's video I'm going to be comparing top opening terrariums with front opening terrariums. So when you picture a reptile terrarium, most people, the first thing they think of is something like I have behind me, where there's just a screen on top and a standard fish tank below. But ever since the reptile hobby has really exploded in the last 15 to 20 years, many companies like National Geographic, ZooMed, and Exo Terra have all released their own specialty reptile enclosures. These enclosures are usually much more expensive than your standard fish tank style aquariums, but they do come with some extra features. And in today's video I'm going to be comparing their ease of use using three different categories. Category 1, ability for the owner to feed and clean the terrarium easily. Category 2, ability for accessorizing. And Category 3, the aesthetic appeal or the look of the terrarium, the way it's built itself. Alright guys, so without further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it, and I'll start comparing a top opening terrarium with a front opening terrarium in regards to feeding and ability to clean. Alright guys, so we're going to get things started off with my 40-gallon breeder tank that I house my bearded dragon Ralph in. Basically what I'm going to do is just walk you through a day in the life of me feeding Ralph, and then I'll show you how I clean this tank, and then I'll explain how easy it was, and I'll explain any difficulties that arose or things that were sort of inconvenient. Okay, so I've got his food right here, so let's go ahead and get in the cage, and I'll just kind of time lapse through how I have to open the cage, and then I'll explain it in just a moment. Okay guys, so now that I've gotten everything off the tank, I can go ahead and put the food in. Now that I'm done, let's go ahead and put everything back together. Alright guys, so as you saw, it's sort of cumbersome getting into that cage to put the food in my bearded dragon's terrarium. Although taking off the lights and the screen isn't much of a chore, having to do it every single day, twice a day usually, it just kind of makes it a little irritating, and in comparison to a front opening terrarium, there's a world of difference. Alright guys, so now I'm going to bounce on over to the Exo Terra tank and show you how easy it is to put food in that terrarium, and also I'll bounce back to this, clean it, and bounce back to the Exo Terra and clean it as well, just to show you how much easier it is to clean a front opening terrarium. Alright guys, so right here is my Rhactodactylus leachianus gecko's Titan. It's his enclosure right here. This is an 18 by 18 by 24 front opening terrarium in contrast with the top opening terrarium. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through some daily maintenance, including feeding, and then I'll walk you through how easy it is to clean in this terrarium. Alright guys, so with a lot of fruit-eating geckos, including crested geckos and leachianus geckos, they're going to be eating these Pangea food cups. And a lot of people feed their fruit-eating geckos out of these ledges because most fruit-eating geckos that I've seen are arboreal and are able to climb and prefer to eat above the ground. Having this front opening door makes it incredibly simple to simply unlock the terrarium, open the door, change the food cup, and place a new one in each night. As opposed to taking the top off and then reaching down in there, picking it up, and then replacing it, then putting it back in there, then putting the lid back on. It's going to save you quite a bit of steps, and in the long run, quite a bit of time and convenience. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to feed my Rhactodactylus leachianus a cricket real quick. Alright guys, so the front opening terrarium is going to be the obvious victor in the ease of feeding your animal. So I'm going to go on and walk you through how I would clean the bearded dragon's terrarium. Alright guys, so we got that all wrapped up. As you saw, it required a little bit more tedious work having to take everything off and then reach into the cage and clean, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. You have to remove all the things off the top prior to cleaning, and then you have to put them all back on. You have to reach over, and thankfully I'm not like overly short, so it's not that big of a deal. But when I was younger, with my top opening cages on my shelving units over there, that was always a struggle, and I had to do quite a bit of climbing on the back of chairs just to get up to the top, which is primarily my fault, but you get the point. So now I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to clean a front opening enclosure. Alright guys, so the obvious winner for the cleaning and feeding round is going to be the front opening terrarium. As you saw, especially with the cleaning, it was very easy for me to reach in there, pick up like debris like that leaf, reach into those tight crevices that would have been really hard to get to if those doors weren't there. So all in all, the cleaning process is much simpler, and that really pays off for a terrarium that's full of plants and pieces of wood, because if that was just a top opening cage, it would be almost impossible to clean. But because of the doors, it makes it very simple for me to maneuver my hands in there and clean the entire space. Alright guys, so now I'm going to go over features that are lacking in each of these products. So when you purchase an aquarium style or a top opening tank for your reptile, you shouldn't be expecting a lot of extra features added specifically to enhance your reptile's livelihood or your ability to take care of your animal. The nice thing about top opening terrariums is that they come in tons and tons of different sizes. 10 gallons, 20 gallons, 20 gallon talls, 30 gallons, 32 gallons, 15 gallons, any size you could ever imagine or want. Primary things that you're going to find on an aquarium that are to, enhance the tank itself are these borders, these plastic rims that go around the top. What this is going to do is going to add a little bit of separation from the screen to the glass. It's going to keep the rim of the glass secure and safe, and it's also going to have something for you to set your screen on top of. And you're also going to get one of these borders down towards the bottom, and that just lifts the tank off the stand itself just to make sure it doesn't crack. Unless you're purchasing a reptile specific aquarium or some type of kit, which there are such things, you're not going to usually get a screen that comes with the tank. The screen will have to come separately. And with separate screens, you have to keep in mind that you're not going to be getting screen locks or anything like that, anything to clasp around the edges to keep your animal from getting out. Exo Terra tanks and Zoom Ed tanks and National Geographic tanks come with a wide variety of features. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm just going to stick with the Exo Terra because that seems to be the most common front opening cage people buy. Primary features are obviously is going to include the front opening doors, which is incredibly useful. You're also going to have these ventilation ducts along the bottom. The door also has a locking mechanism, which I've yet to break, so that's pretty awesome. Just like your standard aquarium, you're going to get this trimmer along the bottom that elevates it from the surface you place it on to prevent glass cracking. Probably my favorite feature that comes with these Exo Terra tanks, besides the fact that the screen does come with the cage, the screen also comes in with a built-in locking mechanism. As you can see, there's a total of 4 locks. If you really needed to get into the top of the cage, which does happen from time to time, especially with initial setups or like the first time you've ever set up the tank, a lot of times you need to reach into the bottom. You simply unlock everything, slide the top off, and you're good to go. And then when you're finished, you just close it back up. I'm not going to be able to do this with one hand. That was a job for 2 hands. Like I said, you just lock it up once more and you're good to go, and your animal's not going to escape. Another feature that these Exo Terra tanks have that the aquariums do not are these sliding track features with these 5 holes. What this allows you to do is run cables for waterfalls, heat pads, or any other device for your terrarium that requires some type of electricity, and you can simply slide the cord down in there without having to have the cage propped open, and then cover up the remaining holes to prevent excess humidity or any type of insects escaping, which is a pretty neat tool that I really haven't taken advantage of. And the final feature that I'd like to note is this bar that goes across the screen. This bar, or this divider, is on every Exo Terra terrarium, I believe, except for the 8x8x12, because it only has enough space for one block. But what this allows you to do is to set an Exo Terra specific hood onto the tank in 2 different locations. So if you need a UVB and a heat bulb, or just 2 types of bulbs, you can set them in there and they have their own space. They're not going to slide, and they look really flush with the top. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how this works instead of just describing it. As you can see, it's a little off kilter right here. So all I got to do is just slide it into place, and it sort of clicks down in there. As you can see, it's flush with the trim. You just turn the light on, and there you go. Alright guys, the point for round 2 is once again going to go to the Exo Terra tank. That was probably to be expected because these tanks are made specially for reptiles and amphibians, unlike these aquariums, which are just kind of made for animals. Alright guys, so for the third category, we're going to go into aesthetic appeal of the terrarium, which really isn't that important in regards to care of the animal, but for a lot of people, making the room look flush and making the room look uniform is very important. So let's go ahead and get right into that. So with a standard terrarium, you get a really good amount of viewing space. You're not having any spaces blocked off unless you so choose to. When purchasing tanks before, a lot of times you'll notice that the silicone used to seal the corners of the tank is often not uniform, and that can really look pretty bad if that's something you're concerned about, which I am, because I like to make sure my terrariums look as good as possible. When it comes to aesthetic appeal with these standard aquariums, you're really not going for much, but you do get a really awesome viewing space of your animal. And all, for me personally, that's very important. And when I used to have all my cages top opening, all these cages stacked up next to each other looked pretty nice, and I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. Now, it's pretty obvious with Exo Terra and other front opening tanks, there's a very uniform design throughout all the products. It's designed on purpose to make the cages look good when they sit next to each other, as you can see right here. I know these aren't the same brand, but still similar shape. And it truly does look nice when set next to each other. These front opening terrariums truly do add a sense of uniformity to your reptile collection, as well as almost giving it sort of a professional vibe, because it just looks almost like a zoo, as opposed to a bunch of tanks lined up together. You've got a bunch of specialty reptile terrariums lined up together. Much like with the standard aquarium, you're getting a uniform black trim around the top and bottom, but you're also going to get a black trim that goes around here. And the Zoom Ed tanks just vary slightly with the design. As you can see, it still has the vents and then the black trim around the top. But all in all, it looks super flush and makes my room, in my opinion, look super cool. So when it comes to the round of aesthetic appeal between tanks and reptile special terrariums, I really don't think there's a clear winner. Because like I said, if you have any type of uniformity within your room, whether that be 10 Exo Terra tanks lined up against each other or 10 just standard terrariums lined up against each other, I think that's what looks really nice. Personally, I think the Exo Terra tanks look a little bit more slick than these 10 gallons, just because obviously you're paying for a little bit more, but they also just have all the extra features, and then the light hoods that fit flush to the top. I just think all that looks really cool, as opposed to these lights just kind of clunkily sitting on top. That pretty much wraps up everything, guys. I had a great time comparing these two products. I've had ample experience with both of these two products over my career and keeping animals, and I personally believe these front opening terrariums are worth the cost. I do know they're quite pricey, but the convenience that they will add to your life when it comes to taking care of your amphibians and reptiles is just incredible. Again, guys, I want to thank you so much for checking out this video. Make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to put on post notifications so you know every single time that I've uploaded a video. Also, if you're really feeling it, drop a comment down below with a question or just a normal comment, and make sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. As always, guys, this is Country Echoes. I'll see y'all on the next one.